It's official. They're up to something. And let me tell you what I think it is. It's the Urban Sentinel, and let's get into it. Just this past week, there was a trilateral summit between Russia, China, and North Korea. It was the first summit of its kind where they formally acknowledged and recognized to each other the alliance and pact that they are now calling crink, which is China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. It is effectively a intelligence, security, protocol type of agreement, not too dissimilar from the BRICS nations. In fact, I'll tell you exactly how this works out. The original BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they formed an economic bond, working together politically, economically, supporting each other, and gaining influence for each other within the UN and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. They basically work on a diplomatic level to further each other's goals. So in the event that a nation, say, gets sanctions placed against them, other nations can act as the cutout or the workaround to still allow free trade to move within that area. They also are working together financially to counterbalance the US dollar and the influence that the United States has on the global market, possibly through either a physical currency that they'll develop later on that would be backed by precious metals, some type of resource that they themselves already control, or moving to a digital currency similar to the centralized digital banking system that is trying to get established. The crink is effectively the glove that goes over the hand, whereas this aspect currently, it is more on the security and protection of those interests through intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing, but also through security protocols and agreements, meaning they basically have each other's back militarily in some form or another officially on record. Now, that works both as its own separate entity, but also hand in hand, hand in glove with the other ones as well, because it still unifies all of those nations. Now, the original BRICS nations, as I've mentioned before, were those individual countries, but from 2023 to 2025, 6 more nations joined up. And we've got Saudi Arabia, we've got the United Arab Emirates, we have Ethiopia, we have Iran, and we have Egypt. So all of those nations are in the BRICS nation group, again with the same purpose: financial, social, political backing, and working together on a global front. Now, all this again plays into both the de-dollarization of the global market, sanction circumnavigation, supply chain diversification, because they're able to negotiate better within their groups for different things as far as goods and services goes, and of course the military and diplomatic challenges. China, with its Belt and Road Initiative, has invested highly in several African nations, effectively to one extent putting them on the take and keeping them under their thumb, because the nations that are involved, it's not just simply roads, it's seaports, it's airports, it's large areas of the country to further infrastructure, as well as resource mining and resource access. In some places, it's just simply making sure that things can go from point A to point B uninterrupted. Now, when you start combining all that with the global influence, it starts to tilt things in their favor. Now, where things can get very interesting is many of those nations have had known active involvement or participation on some level in terrorist groups and organizations that may not specifically wave the flag of that state sponsor, but they've been traced back and known to have been either trained by, housed by, or in some way, shape, or form formed by those nations. You could expect to see an increase of cyber attacks going along to help in this destabilization of the global economy, shifting the weight from the West towards the East. For the simple fact is that while, yes, a terrorist could go in with a bomb and do some damage at a refinery, but a cyber terrorist going in, changing the computer code, locking that refinery out, preventing everything from actual production, shutting the machines down themselves, but also to interfering with the logistics of it, the pickup, the transport, the in total financing, the banks that go with that. If they have control of that and hold it for ransomware, that slows down the economy, that slows down the market, and you have companies that have to either bend to the will and pay out, or offer up something in return. So you're going to find, I feel, several other nations starting to join the BRICS nation to ensure that they don't get put on the hit list. And the more that join that organization, the greater chances are that the scales will start tipping more and more into the original five's favor. You have the case of homegrown, from the U.S. perspective, terrorists that could already be here waiting, handling everything from attacks on wastewater and infrastructure, our transportation, our financial systems, communications, both private communications and government communications in and outside of the U.S. All those things would be used to kind of throw us off balance, sort of like a stub your toe and then get kicked in the shin. You know, you can't stay standing for very long. You're going to have to do something about that. And that then moves into the areas where you'll hear experts start to talk about, you know, diversify your financial portfolio and the different investments so you're not locked into just one single market. Pay down the debt that you have, you know, build up a stronger credit base, but also have a stronger financial situation around you, which is definitely a lot harder to do because many people are still paycheck to paycheck and they don't have the money and the resources to invest in other things to make them a little bit more money to then hold that stable base. You're just getting by with what you have. And you have to think about the personal security aspect of it, your private security, online information. There's still identity theft going on, and there are still many ways where people end up becoming vulnerable through no act of their own. I mean, at least once a month, there's some report that quietly comes out from a major bank or a major retailer or some other institution where personal information of customers, clients, and things like that have been leaked. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's the entire kit and caboodle, depending upon who it was and what the information was that was leaked out of there. You're going to have to look at, on one extent, who is in office in your local and your state level, as well as your federal level, to see what type of plans, bills, proposals there are to protect you, the citizen, from that. But again, those are certain things that are out of your control. You can be aware of it and you can look at it and be attentive to it when it starts popping up in your news feed, but directly there's nothing you can immediately do about it. Now, where a lot of this leads, at least what I'm thinking, is the more small fires that pop up, the more situations that start creeping up that the U.S. has to pay attention to, does split the resources. No matter how capable we think we are, there's only so much that we can handle all at once going on in different locations. And the headlines are still going on about the Ukraine-Russia war, and there's always still that low murmur conflict of, will China go after Taiwan now? Will they go after Taiwan next year? Will they go after Taiwan in 3 years? So there's still that aspect there, but there's also all those small conflicts that have effectively fallen off the news horizon that are still going on. There are still multiple conflicts going on in Africa, and some of those countries, it's literally about the resources, less about the people's equality and freedom and, you know, things like that. It's about the resources and the value that they have and who's going to be controlling it. And a lot of that is within China's purview because they've already put their flags down and they've already put in the money and put in the work to get control of a lot of those things. So they have an interest in how certain conflicts will go. And now something completely different. In part of the summit meeting, there was a hot mic incident where Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping were walking somewhere, the cameras are on and a mic was still on, and their translators were talking back and forth. And they apparently were in the middle of a discussion about biotechnology and human organ transplants, and Xi replying that, you know, with organ transplants, it's capable, there's a capability or possibility of people living to be 150 years old. Now, by itself, you might think, well, it's just a weird conversation between, you know, two superpowers type of thing. But when you start to stop and think about it, as an example, there was a traveling display called Bodies Revealed several decades ago. I had actually been to one of the exhibits. Very fascinating, very interesting. You know, it's pretty much short sum of it. It's human bodies, cadavers, but without the skin. It's in poses and different frames of reference of activity, but nothing but the musculature of the body, some cases the bones and the ligaments, things like that. The rumor was that most of those bodies were actually Chinese prisoners that had been executed. Now, on the one hand, you don't know for a fact because it's not something that's officially declared. I believe China had said that many of the bodies were from people that had died in hospital or things like that, never formally executed, because China doesn't release their actual execution numbers. Now, the group Amnesty International, which tracks all these things, and you can go to their website and you'll see that, as an example, the United States has more people incarcerated per capita than any other nation in the world based upon the population, even China. We're at 1.82 something as of like 2020, and China was at 1.68, 1.7 something as of around 2020. Now, it's a small difference because that's still, again, 1.8 million versus 1.7 million. So it's a small difference. But Amnesty International also states that they estimate China executes thousands of people per year, but it's not necessarily documented. And the reason why they can gather that information is you can find out who a person was that got arrested, what they were charged with, when their trial was, and when they got sentenced, and what prison they went to. I believe one of the large prisons is in the Zhejiang province, or it's the Zhejiang prison. But when they no longer show up, when family members, friends, and people can't find them, and they're supposed to be there, and no one has an answer, you can kind of guess that they've gone and been deleted. The other thing that has been known is that several of these prisons are work labor camps, forced labor camps, where the lifespan is significantly shorter no matter what your age is. So by default, there's probably a lot of prisoners that are in there for maybe 5 or 10-year sentence, but they don't make it 2, maybe 4 years before they die. So that is just a side note correlation that there is more going on behind the curtains than what we're going to see. But that's not what this is about, so don't think about that anymore. Now, as far as where we look at today and moving forward, it's still the same basic concept that these groups are organizing and forming together with the actual sole purpose of destabilizing and pushing the balance from the US and the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere through them. This way, they control the majority of the resources, they set the tone, they set the tempo, they set the price, and the smaller nations tag along because they look at it this way. Those countries are in their backyard versus the United States is all the way, even with all our military bases, we're on the other side of the ocean. There's still a level of disconnect that can be seen from that perspective that, yes, allies of the U.S. know that if there's a problem, there's a military base within, 10 hours maximum away. There's aircraft carrier groups that can set sail and be there within 24 hours, that sort of thing. But the U.S. as a nation is still separated far and away from anything they may face. So if they have the choice of hooking up with this other group that is effectively forming a blanket around them and over them and interwoven within their fabric of infrastructure, their government, their politics, they're going to bet on that as a safer bet, especially when it does become a financial thing, such as a digital currency or some type of physical currency that they're going to introduce to the market, because China still currently holds the largest number of U.S. Treasury bonds. And it's one of those things where, yes, the experts say, well, China can't afford to dump them all because we provide effectively a large amount of their income. But if China has a new income, a new resource, a new type of dollar, something that's not nation tied to them specifically, it's not the Chinese yuan, but some type of organized financial currency that's now recognized by a half dozen of the more financially capable countries, such as South Africa, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, they don't need the U.S. Treasury bond. At that point, they can literally just dump it on the sidewalk and just let it blow in the wind. And when that happens, everything here that we're going through currently all falls apart. It gets significantly worse. Now, would that happen tomorrow? I don't know. End of the year? No idea. In the next 5 years? Who can say? But it's something that at present, that's what's up on the horizon. That's what I see getting closer and closer. And it's something that you need to pay attention to. Now, I've done a couple other videos that kind of tie into this, as well as some other things related to the cyber attacks and related to the potential upcoming economic downturn, or even worse, a collapse. So I want you to check those out at the end of the video. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment as to where you think this could go, if this is really a nothing burger, or if this is something that, we need to seriously sit down, take a look at, and realize that this could be the next big thing to start happening very shortly, potentially. But that's it for now. I'll catch you in the next one.